з якими ви прийшли. Все. Okay. So, dear colleague, dear friends, dear members of the International Community Board, today is the first meeting of Board Medical Club, which is conducted in English. First of all, let me introduce the concepts of our sub-community. So the Board Medical Club is a club inside the International Community Board, which is dedicated to the persons, to those members of the board who are inclined, who are eager to develop themselves as persons, healthy, wealthy, and so on, and as a businessman, as an entrepreneurs. And therefore, we have two tasks. The first one is to improve our health in the most reliable, evidence-based, relative way. And the second one is to strengthen our businesses. Even if they are not directly related to the medicine, there are plenty of ways how to improve your businesses or our businesses in the most reliable way and with better results in proficiency. Good. The formats include the so-called stream or broadcasting, or some populational, let it be, way, which include our today's meeting, like a webinar or lecture or some forums or broadcasts, audio podcasts, and so on. While the next way, which is also a very reliable for some of our members, is to conduct some discussion groups or maybe some master groups in 3, in 2 persons, or in 5, or up to 10, or even more than 10, but in some limited quantity of people, to make it possible to dedicate more time to each of member. And finally, we have a most frequently adopted individual approach, when some person individually has some questions, some aspects, and gets individual support from Board Medical Club. The schedule includes appropriate aspects. First of all, we meet weekly on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. by Kyiv time zone. And we have started our tradition in July and have been conducting all these during all this all the periods of the Board Medical Club. The prospects we are aiming on is to distribute our impact primarily on the individually on the member of board international business community by solving some troubles, some problems with health, with businesses, and so on, then making some support like follow-up of his success, and finally conducting of mentorship on this way. The next level, after we succeed, or to simultaneously with how we are succeeding with the member of board international business community individually, we continue with the family, the relatives of this person. Again, in terms of health, most of all, but optionally in terms of business too. And as you can see, it also has, this level also has 3 stages: troubleshooting, follow-up, and mentorship. And finally, I pray that sometime we'll get the highest level of our impact, not only the member of the board community, not only on his family's members, but also on the surrounding, on the people around him, maybe partners, maybe some top managers, maybe other employees, by distributing the values of our community, of our Board Medical Club as well. Historically, during all this time, we have already had a set of meetings already dedicated to different aspects of either health or business. Most of the banners of these meetings is in Ukrainian, so I'll translate for you. The very first of our meeting was dedicated to health approach, or approach to the health of our members, the energy of entrepreneur, the scientific approach. Later, we proceeded with the discussion of marketing and related services in the field of medicine again. On next our meeting, we discussed the basic principles of hardening, of making adoption of the organism to different conditions of surrounding. Later, we again met on the meeting dedicated to informational technologies for medical organizations. And there was a good chance for those businessmen, for those entrepreneurs who are involved in IT services in different relations in medicine as well. Later, we proceeded with health topic and discussed the basic principles of physical culture, physical activity. Then again, returned to staff and maybe some aspects of human resources or human capital in the practice of entrepreneurship or businesses, more or less related to medical sphere. Then we proceeded with the first meeting dedicated to nutrition and its role in the health development of the person. And then continued again with business topic dedicated to insurance and applied or some close to it services. Then proceeded with health topic biohacking, and I appreciate the taking part of Eugen as a co-speaker on this meeting. So it was not only me who prepared this topic that time. Then we proceeded with business topic and dedicated our meeting to finances in the practice of entrepreneurship and business in relation to medical sphere again. Then we had second meeting dedicated to nutrition. Then proceeded with fundraising and its role in and approaches to fundraising in different aspects of business and entrepreneurship. And our last meeting we spent by discussion of the basics and basic approaches to support of sleeping. And we conducted it together with one of our experts, Olga Kozik. She is one of proficient specialists in the field of sleep development, and you're welcome to come to her services. And finally, today we are going, it's our first try again to have our meeting in English, and I am eager to dedicate this meeting to basic or general aspects of earning money in relation to medicine, in business and entrepreneurship, in investments and philanthropy. I am eager to share my own experience with you in different aspects of appropriate activities. Together with partners, me personally, we have started primarily, I can't remind clearly, we have started from maybe information translation. Yeah, the first business was a translation company or translation agency bureau, which was specified in or specialized in medical field. So we made all variants of translations from dozens of different languages in only medical sphere. Then we proceeded with translations of publications, of monographies, textbooks, booklets, and so on. Then proceeded with publication of all this in electronic form on compact discs, maybe you remember optical disc or DVD or CDs, and selling all over the world. And there were some other steps by selling of medical equipment, production of medical equipment, some relation to use of pharmaceuticals and precursors of them and selling of them, production, and so on. And finally, last about 7 years, I'm involved more or less in, more than 7. Starting from 2000, maybe 8, I have started the commercial way on the direction of maybe services in field of medical scientific researches. So what we actually do is we conduct the full line of services, starting from the scientific idea or scientific hypothesis up to the design of research and conduction of research and systematization analysis, description, publication, adoption, and introduction of medical technologies. What do I understand by medical technology? They are ways of diagnosis, treatment, and prophylaxis in field of medicine. So our principle, what we actually do and for which we are paid, is development of new ways of diagnosis, treatment, and prophylaxis, development of new formulas of pharmaceuticals, or development of new medical equipment or medical supplies, starting from the idea and up to implementation of them into clinical practice, when you might see this in drugstores or in some medical stores and so on. I hope that some of us have already joined us, right? Let me check, just one moment. Dear friends, do you have any questions, any ideas in relation to medical business in general? And let me change maybe the way of I make the demonstration, the presentation. Anton, are you here? Do you have any specific request for our today's meeting? Okay. If you get any, please let me know. Good. So, in general, the basic ideas which I'd like to represent today in our meeting is maybe application and so okay, I'll reformulate the idea. Is probably making there are two aspects: making a maximal impact or effect, and earning maximal money. So, but while making optimal effects, I'd like to represent my opinion or maybe my experience of how to get maximal money or maximum of money. As you can see on the presentation, I have distributed all the approaches into 3 ways or 3 spheres. In B2C, it's business to customer. In B2B, it's business to business. And in B2G, it's business to government. Among these B2C and B2B, there is one more actually I haven't mentioned here, but we'll discuss if you wish, is B2P. This means business to prosumer. So if B2C is business to consumer, so business B2P is business to prosumer. By prosumer, in this case, in medical sphere, I understand actually medical personnel. So let's continue. Primarily, the idea is to conduct the following plan or general approach, general schedule of making medical services to the final consumer. There are 5 basic steps. They could be subdivided in different ways, and they even do not follow each other, but they overlap on each other. While I'd like to highlight the following things. First, audition of the health state. Checkup, making the understanding of the origin of the first or a stage, right, of this way. The second one is closing or shooting, right, some acute troubles, acute problems, or acute issues solvation. While we already know what happens actually with our consumer, we have understood and more or less close the problem, his urgent problems. We already know and continue to solve, to compensate some chronic health disturbances, chronic problems, chronic diseases, right? The aim on this way is, if we are speaking about urgent stage, we fully compensate, while in chronic cases, sometimes it's impossible. For example, if there is amputation of some extremity, the maximum we can do is to make some prosthetics for this person, right? Or maybe improving of these prosthetics, making it from just basic mechanical up to some bioelectronic with the backwards lab and so on. In some cases, the best way we can afford is to compensate, is to support this person. While in some cases, it's possible to fully recover. It depends, of course. And the idea, the strategy of it, we already built on the basic or basing on the audition, right? Audits. Next. Health culture development. What do I understand by this? It's the lifestyle, the healthy lifestyle. It's the understanding of how it is physiologically to live. By this way, again, I already introduced this, that all these aspects, they are not actually following each other, but they overlap on each other. The major parts of them are overlap. They are conducted simultaneously. So by this way, by developing of health culture, we close the most possible problems related to health, so further exacerbations or appearance of any new problems. And as soon as it takes months and years and dozens of years, as you can see, the speed of development of modern technologies in field of medicine is so rapid, is so high, that a plenty of different ways how to prolong the life, how to make it more effective, how to make it more active are developed and could be applied. Next aspect, the basic principles which is set in the B2C, right, business to consumer formula is making it together with customer, is holistic approach, and making it relevant to his expectations, to his needs, to his questions. What do you understand by making it together with customer? There is such a parameter which even may be measured easily. There is special methodology of this, named compliance, the inclination of some person to follow the agreements with doctor, with P2P or peer-to-peer. And it's extremely important because rather often in medical sphere, when some customer agrees with the prescriptions doctor made, and doctor is definitely sure that this patient, this customer will definitely follow this. Actually, it's not so frequently conducted. From my own experience, I have been conducting this compliance evaluation in dozens of different researches in different cases. By cases, I understand not the one certain case, one person, but a set of researches, you see, each of which might consist from dozens to thousands of people. Some of these researches might consist 30 people and some 2,500, for example, or so. So finally, these parameter, the compliance, varies from about 20%. Just imagine 20% from each 100 person which have been agreed with about something with doctor or with some mentor or some any other service supplier. Only 20 or 30 of them follow these instructions, and even among them, they might follow not in full, by their decision, by some aberrations, you see, by some errors or mistakes. Holistically, what do I understand by this? It might be also described as incomplex. Basically, according to the definition of the health made by World Health Organization experts, health consists of three components. It's physical component, mental, and social, right? And the most effective approach is when we take in mind all of these three aspects. When we do not distinguish that here is physical health and mental health is for some psychologist or psychopathologist or something like that, or clinical psychologists and so on. We have, in order to get maximum impact and effect or efficiency, we have to conduct this holistically, in complex, in all of this variety. I must even tell that even take into account the so-called financial health of the person, we can get better result. Or if we take in mind where this person lives, both in not only in terms of climate or microclimate aspects, but even in logistics, how much it takes for him or for her to get to her office or to, I don't know, some other place, and so on. And even taking in mind the quality of life. There is even a special parameter developed named health-related quality of life, and it could be measured. And there are international standards of how they could be measured. For example, I widely use the so-called SF36, which means short form with 36 questions, which give me, as a professional in this field, 8 basic parameters and 2 additional related to different aspects of, again, health-related quality of life. So it could be measured. It could be represented as KPI, yeah, key performance or power index or indicator. Good. And finally, our approach, our service should be relevant to the expectations of the person, to actual conditions of the person. For instance, even over today's meeting, I understand that it's not too much relevant, even by the approach, by the language we use. It's just an experiment. We just record this and maybe use some way. It's not relevant to the auditory. And I even saw that today. I saw 3 friends, 3 persons, through members of board, international community, which have joined our meeting. They have gone. Maybe one of the reasons it could be the language, probably. The idea was that some of our members, which are not Russian based or Ukrainian based, maybe some foreign member might join us if they could observe the invitation, see the banner, English banner, English language. We'll see. Good, let's continue. finally, the strategy of the best approach I ever knew is to make the service, the medical service or medical goods, as personal as it's possible. Many people, especially payable people, are highly inclined to use such a service or such a goods which are personally oriented, which are individualized to their needs, as we have already mentioned in relevant, right? Good. Then the kindred environments. Of course, undoubtedly, anyone prefers to conduct or to live and act in friendly environments. Then professional environments. This means that the customer should be surrounded by as high evidence-based technologies and personnel as it is possible. By professionality, I understand not only knowledge or practical skills, not only specific, I mean, not only specialized, but also maybe soft skills, maybe general life experience or something like that. Maybe empathy, maybe emotional intellect, and so on. So there are plenty of parameters I have faced with when started to conduct this strategy. And frankly, I continue to develop myself on this way. I learn this, I'm studying this every day. I must say more than maybe 5 hours per day. I'm on the way at the moment, and I'm looking forward to find either partners, some, I mean, in format of maybe business partners or professional partnership and so on, or employees. So if you know any who are professional in medicine and which probably are inclined into self-development and development of self as mentors, I would be so grateful for you if you connect us directly. So these were few words about the B2C segment. Let me see if any questions have appeared. Maybe no. Good. Let's continue. B2B. In B2B, from my experience, again, and my hypothesis I develop at the moment, it's important for B2B customers not to be limited by face-to-face meetings, by offline conduction of the service, or even production or getting, sorting, applying of goods. It's a good idea if some service or goods are applied remotely. And if we are speaking now in terms of health management and health services, it's remote, telemedical, or it's also named e-health, right? E-health technologies, remote ones. Then, a part of these, some, not even some, but many of approaches in medicine could not be conducted fully or in total remotely without any local offline taking part. So it's good if the establishment or the business, some company has a network or some lines of supply of the service or supply of goods, some lines of or network of partners locally at the place where your B2B customer is situated. On this way, the most often discussed aspect as the price of the service and goods and so on is balancing with value. So if the value is high enough, the perceived value of this service, of these goods by the customer is high enough, the price is not so significant, or even if it is, anyway, it correlates with the value, and until it overlaps, until it exceeds the perceived value, it could be any price at all. No, doesn't matter. That's why in the majority of cases, I personally and we together with our partners make these prices in B2B segment individual. And depending, and we say that it depends on maybe the age of the workers, of employees, I mean, of our partner, right, of our customer, B2B customer. It depends on baseline background health state of these persons, because if they are relatively healthy, it takes less time, less other resources to support them. If they already have some problems, we should know about them and thoroughly arrange the correct, the adequate price. Good. Then specifics of activity, maybe psychological features. For instance, as for psychology in this field, rather often in B2B segment of medical services, the psychological aspects of the support has even, if not higher, but at least close value to the medical ones, to the physical ones. Maybe it's because they starve about the proper communication with the supplier. They starve according for just making it possible to tell someone about their problems. And if that's why in my practice, for instance, I have started from strictly medical approach, just mostly physical approach, without this mental and social component, so on. And I came to conclusion, especially when the war started, that it's impossible to conduct this physical component of medical service properly until we support our customer psychologically as well. And I have started primarily Med Guide or medical guiding. Yeah, it's such a brand name. And in less than 1 month, I started Psy Guide or PSY, psychological guide. Now I conduct them all together into the concept of health development, of health or maybe health mentorship or something like that. I even didn't come to the final conclusion of how it should be named, but the principle I hope you understand. I managed to get to you. And of course, there are the cost of our support depends on the place and living conditions. In our situation, many of people have been distributed all over the world, and the economic, financial infrastructure in these locations is significantly different. And in one place, it's enough even up to $100 per month per person, while in other it might be not enough, even $500. In some cases, we even have such a check, such a sale of $2,500 and even more per month per person. Just imagine. And on this way, the optimization of the approach, especially in this corporate support, medical care is essential, because if we correctly arrange our offer in maybe insurance, health insurance or medical insurance, it could cover most of the costs, right? Even more, if I have time, I'll continue with this aspect. If we get the fundraised resources, this also matters, and we have both financial and material and technological and staff and what left? Informational resources. There are 5 of them by fundraising. What? For conduction of our duties. Okay. So the values. We distinguish the values for employee and employer. For employer, from my point of view, from my experience, the important value supported by the medical follow-up or medical goods is efficient staff or efficient work of their staff. I hope that you understand that it's with minimum effort, the maximum effect, right? Again, this is possible. This is more people are more capable to work more effectively if they're healthy, if they do not experience some limitations, some pains, some problems with the different systems of organs, or even thoughts about them. Then the employer may plan the activities in his business more thoroughly, more strictly, if he's more sure about the health states of the employees, of the workers. Then employer it starts to be possible for employer to avoid incapability, because if we follow up each of the employees and even supervise in their recovering, the incapability is significantly decreased in this case. Of course, employer has much higher loyalty level in the employees, because this proper health service applied to them serves as a motivation factor. Then a set of ideas about motivation, about values of health services for employees, right? For workers. They feel better, just physically feel better, mentally, and even socially. Then they work more efficiently. And if you remember, the motivation components for employees, they differ at the appropriate level of financial motivation, starting from some level, non-financial, non-material, not represented in money, right? A component of motivation it starts to dominate, and a highly proficient staff is much more motivated by their professional self-development and the professional response from their work, much more than by money, but then by finances. So the workers do not miss their work due to illness, and it becomes more prospective for them. They recover faster. It's so, in brief, there are main values, and again, let's remind, if the level of these values is high enough, it doesn't matter for both of these cohorts, employer and employees, how much does it cost. Good. Just one moment. Okay. The model. We have developed two directions of the model of our services. It's direct health management. It's more traditional, but in terms of not consultations, right? Not even coaching or something like that, but mentorship. By this, the difference in these approaches, we understand that mentor knows. So a mentor comes to the propositions or to prescriptions even, not only from his or her professional knowledge or practical skills, but also from general life experience, from other maybe aspects of his competence, not only proficient in medicine, I mean. And insurance model. By insurance model, we understand that our customer pay only for health, not in case when they get ill, but in case if they're healthy. If they get ill, we compensate this situation, this case. And if our customer or the employees get sick, we cover all the cost of recovery for them. So that is the model of insurance. And of course, we develop plenty, more than 20, as far as I remember, 23 or 27, I don't remember exactly, some unique offers or special conditions by which we can attract B2B customer. Special rates, any formats and currencies of settlements, generalized control of employees' health. For instance, generalized control. A great role in this is conducted by first telemetry. Now I charge my smart watch, and so we conduct the supervision and follow-up and controlling of the health state of all our customers directly. And we also represent the summarization, some dashboards with different parameters of the health state of employees for employer as an option, of course. But in some cases, it's essential. And again, such kind of customers are ready to pay for this because it improves greatly the efficiency. The value of it for them is extremely higher. Individual plans for maximum productivity. We develop these separately for maybe some groups of employees or even individuals for some most proficient and most productive, effective employees. Training of health technologies or in-health technologies, training of top managers, of owners, of employees of different level to make them understand better what to do and why it should be done by this way. So it's a conscious approach to their health. And of course, compounding of health corporate culture. So it's a component of the corporate culture, but as for me, it's important component. Good. So we have finished with B2B aspect. In B2G, I'm not sure if, maybe we have time for this. Have we got any questions? Let me see the chat. Maybe no. Okay. So let's continue with them. I'll stop the sharing now. Good. Oh, I raised my hand. How it could be? How it could happen? Okay. So in B2G, business to government, I must say that even actually not specifically B2G, but it's the one of my not final, but one of my last probably projects of the life. I formally named it as medical cluster. Let me check if medical cluster. And by this I understand that for government on the level of the country or the district or maybe some city or even village, the most important is impact with minimum effort, the maximum impact with minimum effort. Of course, if we do not mention corruption, of course, I hope this is not for such a broadcasting manner to discuss the corruption. If strictly they are interested, what fundamentally interested in the maximum impact. And this principle, cluster principle of organizing the healthcare system, medical services, medical supplies, and all the rest, has at the moment the multiplier of x10 and more. Just imagine, each $100 which enters this structure has the impact of 1,000 and more, 10 and more times improvement, right? Scaling. Let me introduce this principle. So in this, inside this cluster, in this yellowish, right, in this yellowish circle, there are 5 components or 5 segments and 5 types of members, the genuine members. First of all, medical business. I believe this has been and will remain the main component, the main partner in this field. It includes private hospitals, diagnostic centers, laboratories, rehabilitation centers, then manufacturers of medical supplies, of pharmaceuticals, of medical equipment, and so on, private segment. Next segment is, I generalize them as non-private medical organizations. They include municipal, departmental, governmental, and so on. The next component, the third one, is non-profit projects. By non-profit projects, I understand maybe some groups of volunteers, maybe non-governmental, non-profitable organizations, maybe some charity foundations, maybe some other activities which are humanitarian and non-profits. They have their certain benefits in turn. The fourth of main components of this cluster is academic structures like universities, academies, medical schools, maybe some more, which have 2 significant components for us, both educational and scientific. Later, I'll show you the benefits of each of these components. And the final segment, it's very heterogeneous, consists of multiple different companies, organizations involved in management, maybe law or rights support, legislation support or legal support, then related to accounting and funding and financial support, communications, marketing, and PR. Then work with the human capital or human relations, right, or resources, logistics, information technologies, and so on. All so they are internal service segment for all the cluster. And let me show you the general view. So we have discussed the members of the cluster. They communicate and collaborate. Collaboration has a special attitude of people nowadays, but really they collaborate internally. And we have 2 types of outer external partners. First of them is local communities on the regional or maybe country, regional, city, village, and so on levels. And one next is foreign, maybe our foreign partners, which include the same or similar organizations, private and non-private, medical organizations, foundations, both charity and investment, and maybe some other academic structures, local communities, and so on, but foreign, abroad. What do they actually do? I mean, these partners. Local partners simply let us conduct our activities. The maximum we require from them is just making possible to conduct what we are eager to do. No financial support, nothing. We do not require anything from them at all. As for foreign partners, they mostly conduct 5 types of resources for us. Again, financial, money, then material, maybe some medical supplies, medical equipment, transport, maybe something with material we can measure, right, and we can touch. Then information support. It's mostly in field of communications or making it possible to conduct some rights, give us rights to conduct some technologies. And for instance, we come to the next type of resource, it's force technologies, right? Technological support. And finally, staff, yeah? Some of very proficient people, proficient staff comes to us, to the places we conduct the activities of this medical cluster, and either do this free of charge or at a great discount for us, and they conduct education for our local specialists. And when they go back abroad, they leave the technologies, the knowledge, the practical skills with us here. And here is the illustration, a brief table where I tried to represent maybe how it is named, opportunities and limitations of each of segments, not each, but 4 of segments I have mentioned already. For example, medical businesses are full of ambitions, premises, medical supplies, medical professionalism of their workers, but their lack of clients or beneficiaries. Not so much, but they also lacked a lack of international relations or medical personnel, just quantity of it. Then, non-profit organizations, they're full of clients and beneficiaries and medical professionalism, but their lack of international relations or premises. Academic organizations, again, they have a good experience in international relations, while and medical professionalism, while they not so much supplied with medical equipment, medical supplies by customers, and so on, and medical personnel even, and ambitions rather often, and premises. It depends, of course, but in general it's so. And while non-profit organizations are full of energy, ambitions, beneficiaries, and all the rest is not, they are not proficient in medical, of course, in medical field, and so on. So by binding, right, by combining of so different organizations by the one common principle, conduction of medical support, of health service or health care, we get principally significant, much higher efficiency of our efforts. And on this way, in terms of charity and social activity and so on, one of greatest approach I ever knew is making endowment. Just imagine when some foreign partner donates something, not even in money, but in other resources I have mentioned, 5 types of them, we reserve these resources in the format of this endowment foundation, which means that they are introduced, they are reinvested in different activities, and the profit which we get from this investment is used for our own activity, for charity, for social project, and they form a part of our profit, direct profit, ethically, directly. Let me make some examples. For example, one of our supplier, no, not supplier, but donor probably, right? Our partner have granted us his premises, and by giving these premises into rent routine, we get this money for rent, some profit, and use this profit for charity. One other case, some other foreign from Japan partner have even two of them. One of them have supported us, supplied us with the medical supplies, and one other simply donates the money. In both of these cases, we used these not medical supplies, but medical equipment. We use this medical equipment in leasing for private medical organization, a company, and all the payment we get for this leasing, we use in charity, for example. Or if we get money, some part of this money, if I remember about 20% or so, we reserve for our organization or administrative costs, right? And about 50% we apply to this endowment. The rest is in the reserve fund or directly into charity. So we have the right to do it ethically, efficiently, and in terms of charity, it's non-profit, but in terms of business associated with this medical cluster, it is profitable. Good. So it's strictly the time we have to finish. If any of you has any questions, any propositions, feel free to ask. You may write or ask them orally, as you prefer. I'm glad to see you again, Johan.
Hi, Alexei. Yeah, I have an interesting question. It's real very interesting to me to understand how do you choose this sphere?
What kind of sphere? You mean the social?
Medicine.
Medicine?
Yeah.
I didn't choose it. It chose me because I'm a medical doctor in the third generation already. So I frankly,
Really?
only two options I had in early childhood was cosmonaut or the driver of big vehicles, you know. So no other ideas even. I definitely knew that I will be medical doctor, undoubtedly. If it is, if I managed to answer your question, did I?
Yep. And also, Alexei, it's interesting to ask, maybe it's not about this topic, but
Okay.
how do you think, what is the most 5 trends in medicine do you see in future? Yeah, maybe in Ukraine, maybe in the world.
Again, we can discuss this in different aspects. You see, if very basically, it's definitely med tech or health tech and so on, all these fields, definitely, right? If we include keyboardization here, it's very important too, because if you remember the fifth stage, the fifth level of my mentorship, my understanding of how how medical services and health care should be conducted is longevity, the active longevity of the life. And it's impossible without special support, special technological support of this. So I believe it could be either in sphere of information technologies, keyboardization, or the other way, and I would also state, it's self-development of and maybe modification of our biological nature. I mean, clinical genetics, what is named genomics, genomics engineering, or genetic engineering. It's the second way I believe in. And the third, you asked for three, right?
How you can or how you wish.
Frankly, it depends, you see, because there are dozens of them, actually. So in some of my publications, I numbered them and mentioned about 10, in some other 15, in some other 3 or 5, it doesn't matter. Maybe the next aspect is modeling of the nature of life, of nature of our conscious, you see. And I believe, no, I can't say I believe, I hope from scientific point of view that our soul might be our conscious, you see. It could be described, yeah, could be modeled. And if we manage to do this, we can reproduce us unlimitedly. It's a way to eternity at all, because just imagine if we have to move our biological body to some other planet, to some other system of I don't know, planets or even galactics, or it doesn't matter where, but if we can model our conscious again in electronic variant, it's enough just to transfer the information there. No need to move anything like that. Did I manage to comment your question enough, or
Yep.
You see? So I at least these 3 directions are one of 5 I have at the moment in my company, my scientific, company. While I believe, I trust that it has a good prospects, you see.
Great. Thank you very much for your value for the society and the future. Every time, even in any situation, you give 110% of your energy to put it right, correct, and great.
Thank you in turn, and from my side, I do my best. Maybe some other time I could do more. I think that it's the minimum I can do. Probably will succeed much better.
Great.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you. Okay, can we...
Yep, great, Alexey. So happy that you practice English and active use it even in Ukraine.
For instance, could you represent your idea or maybe your attitude? How do you think? Is it actually applicable to the format of this Board Medical Club to conduct these English-based meetings periodically or regularly? I don't know. Maybe one time a month, one time, I don't know.
I suppose it depends on topic. Yeah,
Okay.
for example, so it's first it's marketing. So people know in most cases entrepreneurs also wants easy and fun. Yeah, it's most about people. So for example, maybe not how to be healthy, as they want to be how to have, I don't know, powerful emotions every day. Yeah, how to be strong enough on your weekly basis. Yeah, some about this topic, maybe more interactions. Yeah, between because your level, it's like high level. Yeah, and level of participants maybe on first class. Yeah, and you give information like for 12th class classroom. Yeah, so it's very hard, for example, to all understand of your information.
Oh, it's my fault. Thank you so much. It's important. I didn't realize this.
Yeah, so you give everything in very huge detail, and it is great for experts. Yeah, that's why people like something like TikTok, small video, for example. Just do it and you will be healthy. I don't know. I know it's very funny for you. It's not work here, but people want to hear it.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah. So first variety, you have very really health experts and give like such on such format, yeah, for them. Or second, you do it like more interactive, more easily and more fun.
Thank you so much. And what do you think about English medium discussion? Is it reasonable to at least to try periodically, maybe?
For a medical topic or for general?
I don't know. It's for you. What's your opinion? Because it was just an experiment today.
If we, for example, it's just mathematics. So, for example, percent in boards, people who are interested in medicine. And if we calculate how from them know English in more than upper intermediate or upper intermediate level, you will calculate about 1-5%. Yeah, that's the problem. The problem in quantity of this. So it's English. It's so hard for people. From my work, from recruitment, we have about 1% of people who know on advanced level, and maybe 5 on upper intermediate. Entrepreneurs in Ukraine, in most cases, it's hard for them to study English.
What do you think about the prospects of attraction of new members into Board International Business Community? English medium, I mean, members, primarily English medium, not our Ukrainian or some other countries, but those for whom English is native, if not native, but at least it's, I don't know, achievable or it's understandable and so on.
Understood. Thank you, Alexei. I suppose that people who really know English abroad, they search, for example, English-speaking business clubs. Yep. So the problem. So we have value for people who don't know English and abroad. Yes. So might be like that. It's just from mathematics because we work with people, with humans, so it's like just easily to calculate all of this data.
Okay, maybe this corresponds to the ambitions of the founders of Boards International Business Community, right? Whether they are inclined to have English medium content, to have English again medium members, probably, right?
Maybe, but in most cases it works like in one language. So one big something. It's in most cases in Russian, in Ukrainian, or in another language. Like for example, USA and Canada, easy, and in one language, one values, one currency. It's very easy.
Okay, currency differs, but yeah, the basics is the same. Yeah, it's. I have an experience of my own. How it is named in English? It's Scientific Medical Club. Yeah, Medical Scientific Club. Medical Scientific Club. I started it as Russian-based, a Russian medium, and then starting from some year, maybe third or fourth year or fifth maximally, I started 2 lines. One for English medium members and one other for Russian medium members. And really, well, it's interesting when we combine with someone from us, from Russian medium people, they join the events from English medium. Why? Because anyway, the international language is English by definition. Maybe Russian, of course, but now we have problems with attitude to Russian language, right? And Ukrainian maybe is not ready to become international at the moment, at least. And de facto, at least in scientific and medical sphere, English is the basic. All the most relevant, the newest information is published in English, or maybe not in English, in some native language, plus in English, in the copy of it. As for business, maybe is not so applicable to it, and maybe there is no reason to continue to even to try to make our discussion, make our meetings in English, or make it as an option, maybe in recordings only. Okay, we'll discuss. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your